Greetings, fellow callbacks and cameos. Tiki here.
From Blue Dragon 5.
And tonight we are talking the Curb Your Enthusiasm series finale. No lessons learned. Dun dun dun. Or should I say, ba 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 ba. All right, Dragon, I'll throw it to you. What do you think?
So a lot of eyes on the Curb finale, and again, like I was just going into it all eager, and then Tiki saying, "What if it's bad?" And it's like, "Oh no, Tiki, why did you put that in my in my head?" So there was tension.
I did literally throw that out like after we finished the podcast last night on Invincible. I did throw that in his head right before we signed out.
So thanks for that. But I tell you, man, this is a satisfying finale. I mean, admittedly, I think they could have cut out a few gags, but aside from that, I think it was a very satisfying finale for the series and just for the season. I enjoyed it, I gotta admit. Got me a little emotional in places for a couple of reasons, but I enjoyed myself with this. Again, if made a few edits, it would have been perfect. I really feel if we just could have cut, like, honestly, if we cut one joke, I think it would have been perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I also think this was really solid. I will admit, when we first started bringing out the eyewitnesses, Dragon, I was stoked. I was fanboying out. When Mocha Joe comes out, I was in full fanboy mode.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, when it was like, Larry David did this and this and this and this, I'm like, okay, now we're kind of veering into the territory where it's almost, not quite there, but it almost kind of feels like a cliffhanger. Or not a cliffhanger, I'm sorry, but a clip show. My bad. But it gets out of that, and really satisfying stuff throughout. Really good character stuff. My one tiny little hang up with this episode is that, don't get me wrong, I love to see Richard Lewis there in the finale. It's great that Richard Lewis is with the rest of them in the last shot. That warmed my heart to pieces. I didn't really care for the plot line with the girlfriend and the suicide thing. That to me could have been cut out entirely. Just
but that's like them doing one last. That's them doing one last ride with like the Richard Lewis runners they've always done. Larry David doesn't.
I have a theory. We'll get into it when we get to the last couple scenes. I have a theory about maybe what they were going for with that gag, but I want to kind of hold on to that. All right. I'm glad Curb didn't replace Jeff Garlin with a CG version of Oh God.
Did you ever watch those clips from the Goldbergs, by the way?
What? Did they replace him with CGI?
Yeah, that's what they did, yeah.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, seriously. I want to be clear, they didn't like use, like the captain from the Axiom CG. I mean, they basically did like the Sopranos thing, where when the actress who played Tony Soprano, this is where the idea...
They replaced Garlin. Like, they didn't just write off the character. They straight up replaced him with CG.
Do you want to keep asking questions, or you want me to tell you?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so what happened was, there was kind of this technique they kind of used in The Sopranos when Tony Soprano's mother passed away in real life. They basically used kind of like a deleted scene. Now, mind you, Garland's like a smidge different. It's like, I don't know if AI is specifically what they use, but essentially what happened was, they do this thing where it's like a face replacement. So it is Jeff Garlin. It's footage of Jeff Garlin, but essentially is like just him doing very generic, like nodding or just standing around. So it is kind of it's a digitally created kind of moment. And then
that makes me feel super uncomfortable, and I am no longer on board with the Goldbergs as a TV
product. Well, here's the thing.
Honestly, not because of the canceling Garland thing, just because I fully do not support the use of AI.
Right. Well, again, this was this is before AI was really a thing. So I like right on the precipice of it, though. So it was kind of like, I don't know if it technically counts as AI or not. It sounds like it does. So, but then they eventually wrote him out. They killed him off, which is sad because in the Goldbergs, think about this.
He's literally the main character's father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They killed off, Pop because George Siegel he passed away, so they killed him off naturally in the show, which is a sad thing. And then Well, because of the thing with Jeff Garlin, they had to do the weird CG thing to finish out the season with the graduation, and then like the top of next season, we killed off Murray between seasons.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah. And again, I would attest they killed him off for dumb reasons, but that's just me.
All right. Well, we're not here to talk about Jeff Garlin. Mostly, we're here to talk about Jeff Green.
Mm-hmm.
In some context, not all the context, anyways.
Oh, Jeff Green does something terrible here, but it's hilarious though.
Right. All right.
It's catawampus, my friend.
Oh my god.
It's utterly catawampus.
All right. So, where do you want to start, Dragon?
So, I guess the place to start is kind of umbrella things a little bit here. So, a lot of parallels to the Seinfeld finale, which the whole season has been building to. Very intentionally.
Like ever since episode 2 or 3, we basically know that this season is building to a big trial.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And as far as the trial goes, I mean, we knew at the end of the first episode, okay, they're doing a Seinfeld thing with him getting arrested for that law. So it's like, oh my god, it's like the premise of the Seinfeld finale, which Larry David came back to write, and infamously, again, he'd been kind of walking that off in his Sour Grapes movie by the time he started Curb. So that was kind of his in between his Seinfeld years and Curb. He was kind of like hobbling off from all the backlash on the Seinfeld finale. So, yeah, much like so again, we have like a lot of Easter eggs and parallels all throughout this thing. For this last episode especially, this episode is very wall-to-wall Seinfeld finale in terms of the references without feeling like purely a member bearer.
Dragon, don't get me wrong, I really wanted to watch the Seinfeld finale. I really just didn't have time. It's been a busy week, unfortunately. So, that's something I did want to get in there.
So, they start on a plane, which essentially, not from the very for like minute 1 of the Seinfeld finale, but essentially there was the big thing like, oh god, are we going to kill off the entire cast of Seinfeld in a plane? Essentially, it was like the tension of the opening of this thing.
Dragon, for a brief moment, I was almost wondering if the whole episode was going to take place on this fucking plane.
Really? I did not think that, no.
Just for a moment, the thought passed my head, and then they left, and I was like, oh, okay, they're not doing that, but yeah.
So we start on a plane, and we have the whole airplane mode thing, or like, turn off your phone so it doesn't mess with like the telemetry of the plane or some such stuff. And yeah, we have like the whole, like, we call back the whole squealer thing with Susie.
Yeah, this very nice looking stewardess who's just Dragon. She's just trying her best. My heart really went out to the stewardess.
Yeah,
she's really trying to be cordial, but Larry David's just not having any of it.
I love her like poking holes in his logic too. So now you're squealing, and basically, like between Jeff, Leon, and Larry, they're all squealing on each other. It's kind of funny.
Then Susan's like, "You're surrounded by idiots," or something like that.
Well, Susie, my friend, not Susan.
Did I say Susan?
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry. Yeah, anyways.
It makes us all feel very uncomfortable. So, Leon, this is I love this runner. Okay, so Leon.
This is a really good idea. Leon has always kind of been like the audience surrogate in this show, and now so it's like even more obvious that that's kind of what they're doing with him.
So Leon is binging Seinfeld. This is such a great idea. The fact that Leon and all the basically half the entirety of the show that he's been there, season 6 to 12, 6 seasons of this show, he's even interacted with Kramer. He's never watched Seinfeld. So just the fact that he's watching and basically kind of track his progress through the binge, and basically he's commiserating with Larry, and Larry just he doesn't care what Leon thinks, which is already just kind of funny. Just I don't consider you a person. And Leon's cracks up with that. They're having a good old time anyway. So
but I do feel like as the episode goes on, Larry is kind of more and more invested in Leon's takes.
Well, especially given the fact that he is curious about the finale with Leon, because everyone else gives him guff about that finale.
That was a great, 5 minutes before the episode's over, Leon is cryptically like, "Hey, Larry, I'm on the finale now. I heard you fucked it up." That was such a great fourth wall break. Don't fuck it up again, Larry.
Yep. So I just love the fact that he loves Seinfeld because Jerry's getting action every week.
Oh my god, that is the most perfect fucking it is so Leon to really appreciate that, right?
It's like we hit 3 gags with Leon and Seinfeld. One, he loves the show because Jerry's getting action every week. He's basically we kind of call out that Leon is Kramer for Larry David and Curb.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, the finale gag. So, so the fact that it's a meta real life Kramer thing, and also I think stems from the fact that Kramer in the show Seinfeld is based on the fact that Larry David in real life had not a roommate, but he had like a neighbor who basically his name was actually Kramer, which is where they got the name from. And he would burst into his, he'd walk into his apartment, he would eat food and stuff, and basically do what Kramer does.
Mm.
Just not as jovial and kind of like with a slide, like Anyway, so we kind of mentioned this on the plane, and when we get there, we book at the hotel and everything. Well, I guess on the way to the hotel, and when we get there, we should talk about it. Richard Lewis's ex. He's trying to rekindle things with.
Yeah, who we don't know. This is Richard Lewis's ex in the moment.
Not in the moment. So this woman is on the. It's a relatable traffic bit here. We have that really
Dragon shit like this is one of the main reasons why I just don't drive.
Yeah.
Because my God, I will get pissed off at people for pulling this shit. But then the thing is, Dragon, I also don't fucking trust myself to not be an idiot and accidentally pull something like this. So it's literally like a lose-lose either way for me when it comes to the driving thing. It's trust.
I know. I get it. I get driving anxiety. I get it. So as I'm saying, this situation, I've seen every time my father and I do something, it's just every time he's always like ranting and raving about the.
My dad is terrible when it comes to if he doesn't make his turn because of something like this, then he'll get super pissed off because he'll instantly get what he thinks is lost, and then I have to remind him, like, Dad, it's okay, we can just turn on the GPS, we're good.
It's just like a thing of like, my father's so even keeled. He's like, like Goofy from a Goofy movie mixed with Hugh Neutron, like so even keeled, but you get him in behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's cursing at every
turns
driver.
Into the angry Goofy from that one Goofy short.
Sure, he's cursing at every driver in town.
Oh man!
Of course, not actually to them. He's not a psychopath, but still, Anyway, but so the point is, this lady, and we see her. I love that there's like no illusions. We know exactly Larry is right here because we see the woman up close. Like this is Allison Janney. This is Allison Janney as Cynthia, who we will learn is Richard Lewis's girlfriend. Like cuts him off, will not let him in, and basically flips him off and all this sort of stuff. And there's in disbelief.
I mean, you know what? The fact that she flips him off is very much like the breaking point, right? Like that is not an accident by any means. Yeah. That is you just straight up being a malicious dick.
Like and we saw the look on her face. Like she really willfully would not let them pass. And
right.
Wrong. There's just like, hey, you gotta get through here. It's like, no. You mildly inconvenience these people. Are you happy? And the fact that she will not admit it. So basically, we set up a Cynthia character. Cynthia is like a pathological liar. That's what we set up here. She's very dishonest. We have this thing. So basically, she's rekindled things. Richard Lewis and one of again, we've kind of mentioned this sort of thing in the past, where well, it's not you and I, but like the show has kind of mentioned this sort of thing in the past. It's kind of like a conversational point of if a woman was so distraught over a breakup, she would say that basically there was an attempt at suicide, and then Larry David makes the very fair point that it could just be something she says, doesn't mean she actually did it. And we call that out here.
Larry David would have the balls to call something like that out, right?
And I love that. I would be thinking the same thing. Like,
You know what? What's funny though is I feel like it's a stereotype where it's like incel guys use that tactic, but I don't know. I don't want to point fingers, but I'm just saying I feel like if a woman used that tactic, she would have more like culpable deniability to it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, yeah. Okay, so within the Curb parameters, it's sort of the thing of like that being kind of like a turn on or of sorts of just the fact that that's a plus to your confidence that a woman cared about you that much. She would have, or whoever your partner is. Like, so it's that kind of thing. Just
okay, Dragon. Let's just take a quick survey here. If a woman cared that much that she was literally going to kill herself if the relationship didn't work out, Dragon, that is a red flag, right? That is not a green flag. That is a red flag. That is not good.
Well, no, of course not.
I mean, I haven't dated in a while, but yeah, that would be a fucking red flag for me. Yeah. All right. Anyway,
so So yeah, they're told about the attempt, and basically we learn this was like an attempt to really garner sympathy or make the other person feel bad. And we hear and we know we have this confirmed later on where he confronts her about it. And he gets two stories. Richard Lewis was told it was a hanging, and she just basically she practically for I don't remember so long. You forgot the time you almost killed
I
yourself.
will say that is absolute bullshit. Nobody forgets
Yeah.
something like that.
Exactly. So it's like
That shit's gonna stay with you for the rest of
I
your life.
love how phony Tiki. This is actually, this is kind of an emotional moment for me here. One of the few I did have in this because this episode does have kind of curb bingo going on for it, where we're hitting all like we're hitting like the iconic strides of like things that runners throughout the series, like in like the last ditch moments of the series. Where it's like. For example, the Larry David look, which was a favorite of my grandfather's and a favorite of mine. Every time he does the Larry David look, he's like does like the human lie detector thing. Again, Tuco Salamanca may have picked up from the show. He may have. I'm not saying he did, but he could have. But anyways, just the thing that she says, like, what color were the pills? Pink, which is complete BS. Like, there are barely any pink pills out there, like, period. I mean, like,
and the fact that she couldn't even like name the actual pill itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. I always suspect that he gets to do the Larry David look, and it's a perfect example of where you can absolutely tell it's a lie, and he's got her number. So that's great. And again, with the whole Larry David bingo of it all, we have the Larry David look. We have Larry David and Richard Lewis just kind of hanging out, and then getting into it with the other thing. Larry David versus Richard Lewis's girlfriend. Ever since the first episode, he never gets along with any of Richard Lewis's girlfriends.
Just constantly throughout the whole show, just always sacrificing Richard Lewis's love life for the sake of his own bullshit.
Yep, we have Ted Danson making an appearance and more, again, curb bingo. Jeff and Susie getting Jeff and Larry doing a scheme, and then Susie yelling a lot at Jeff, calling him a fat, fat. So yeah. We had all our strides there. Okay, so anyway, so we're here's a gag. So they're in the lobby, and Larry gets a little toy ball thrown at his head.
Yes.
Do you want to speak to that, Tiki? I mean, like the whole joke where he gets the ball thrown in his head and he gets into it with the mother.
Yeah, I mean, it is just classic Curbed. It's very much like, okay, this mother is clearly in the wrong. She's like she's taking up way too much time to try and do this valuable lesson, and it's obviously eating into Larry's time. And yeah, just
she's imposing upon him like, hey, help me in my selfish goal of trying to show that I'm making an effort as a parent. Really,
right? That's who we shouldn't be like. That's who you don't want to be like.
I'm 76 and I never learned a single lesson.
Which was pretty satisfying.
Yep. Okay, so then we have one of the funniest, ridiculous things in the show here. The Mexican food thing.
Yeah, I still am kind of baffled by this, but I kind of like that they just leave it hanging and don't explain it.
This is absurdly funny for a number of reasons. It's just the fact that, again, it's like this funny...
I mean, where I thought they were going to go with it, Dragon, is I thought they were going to imply, like, that Cheryl was paranoid, that, like, the implication of her not liking Mexican food would make people think that she doesn't like Mexican people.
Well, no, that's the whole thing, yeah.
But I kind of like that they kind of leave that up to your imagination. You know what I mean? They don't really like hammer it out. It's just kind of like, oh, Cheryl, I know what you're thinking, and it's fucking dumb.
Yeah. This is the fact that you're right. It's great that we have a little bit of ambiguity there, but it's pretty. The dots can be connected there. The whole the way they're saying Mexican food. It's like, well, it's some weird this weird PC hang up that both Cheryl and Ted Danson have.
What if we get to a point in our culture where we just can't say stuff like Chinese food or Mexican food or anything like that?
Oh, that's ridiculous. But that's again, it's kind of like a little predictive.
Oh God, Dragon, is it going to be one of those things where is Larry David going to be like the anti Mr. Rogers, where 10 years after the show goes off air, we're going to be like, come back, Larry, you have to give your wisdom to all the bullshit that's happened since you've been gone.
You know what's really funny about that? It's the fact that Larry David is kind of the cynical Mr. Rogers. He is. He has a very Mr. Rogers look about him in the later seasons of Curb with the whole the because he wears the sweater and little windbreaker on top of the thing. So he has a very it's a ticked off Mr. Rogers.
He's like bizarro Mr. Rogers.
God. Because again, he is trying. Larry David, in his demented way, is trying to help, but he is by the same token. It's that's the thing. Anyway, so this weird PC, the hang up that Cheryl has, which by the way, for me, I don't know how you read it, but for me, I've always had this thing throughout Curb. I've always felt alone on that. I think Cheryl, and I think this kind of confirms it. At the end of the day, at the end of the series, I think we kind of with this joke we kind of show more often than not, maybe not entirely, but more often than not, Cheryl was more difficult than Larry at times.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair.
Because I'm just saying, like this is like the most ridiculous thing Cheryl's ever said.
Right.
Like ever got into like a thing where she's all judgy and like saying like, "Hey, just takes him aside, like, hey, you said something really offensive." He didn't say anything offensive. Like, oh, no, she doesn't like Mexican food. Like, and later on when Ted's getting up in arms about it on Cheryl's behalf, saying, "Yeah,
it's not your story to tell, Larry."
Which is
that cracked me up. That cracked me up.
Which is like tantamount to like her truth, Larry. How dare you?
Right.
Oh God! So it's just wonderfully hilarious and ridiculous. Okay, so we go to Auntie Ray's restaurant.
Auntie Ray was just on fucking fire this episode, Drake, and I'm so glad that they had a big ending for Auntie Ray. I was so happy about
the whole case did hinge on her, so it
was
So one Auntie Ray, I just want to shout this out because traditionally everything gets shot in Atlanta anyway, so this is probably an easy shoot. So
Made in Georgia.
There you go. So I gotta wonder. This is probably. I think it stands to reason they probably actually did go to Atlanta, just given how easy that easy it is to shoot there. Period. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, why? It would be really ridiculous if they did not go to Atlanta this one time. Regardless, they go there. Atlanta has some really nice establishments with this. Assuming this is actually Atlanta, they have nice hotels and restaurants and stuff. Auntie Ray's restaurant is a very nice place, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, it looks great. I will say though, the salad. I kind of wish they would have shown a little more than just like bowls of lettuce. I don't know, Dragon. I'm going to get into kind of the semantics.
I have a theory about the salad.
Because for me, it's like when I think of a good salad, right? I'm not thinking like, I mean, the salad dressing is definitely part of it. Like that's one of the few things I'll give Olive Garden nowadays that I love that salad dressing. But when I'm thinking of a good salad, I'm thinking of like all the ingredients, the cheese, the croutons you're using, the extra garnishes. I'm not thinking about the dressing per se. And this salad is very much just like, oh, it's, it's the dressing. The dressing is the main star.
Yes, but Tiki, if your grandfather invented a Cobb salad, you try the Cobb salad.
Oh, I love the Cobb salad. I swear by the Cobb salad.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I have a weird fan theory here. I wonder if the fact that he's getting like this is ridiculous money. Don't pay it too much mind. But it's the fact that these are pretty big salads, like they're pretty big bowls of salad. I wonder if perhaps it is a reference to this thing from Seinfeld where George, and it was based on a Larry David thing where a friend bought the big salad for a coworker, and it was like this thing where like George wanted the credit for the big salad, he didn't get any credit, and he ate him up and like destroyed a relationship with a lady. Anyway, just point is it's a big salad. And Susie loves the dressing. She would love to know the recipe, but it's a secret. Auntie Ray will not share it. Anniversary's coming up just by happenstance because just a few episodes ago was a birthday. Now it's anniversary. And Jeff is terrible at buying. As we established, Jeff is terrible at getting gifts for Susie.
Mm-hmm.
So he and Larry hatch a little plan. So Jeff puts his. I love that Jeff makes an effort here, but makes an effort in the most horrible way possible on behalf of Susie. So he pretends to be Mr. Gunderson. And he's calling Auntie Ray's place, and as like later in the episode, and basically saying his wife's sick from the dressing. They're in the hospital. They need to know the components of the salad to like make an antitoxin or diagnosis or something. And Larry David is like shrieking like a woman.
Oh, help me! Help me!
Now, this is really fun. One of this crack shows Auntie Ray being on fire. The actress just intentionally though she's not getting any of the names right. Like,
Right,
she keeps like changing Mr. Gunderson like 5 times. None of it's right. And then the whole says, the doctor says she's all catawampus. So importantly,
the catawampus
is-
thing, man. That is like the ultimate, like, Auntie Ray will remember this.
Yep. Because I mean, how do you forget that? Catawampus. Who says that? All right. So
People who live in Southern California that may or may not frequent Knott's Berry Farm.
but really, catawampus relates to Knott's Berry Farm?
Knott's Berry Farm has a statue of a catawampus.
Oh my god.
It does. I'm not kidding you.
What does a catawampus even look like?
It looks like a womp, like a cactus, and that's shaped like an animal. Basically, is the idea.
It's a cactus shaped like a cat.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, you know, I wanted to just correct you. Just Larry, if like on his like pretending to be this old lady on her deathbed, Journey.
Oh my god!
Journey! Just like yelling Journey. Oh god, this is so random and funny. Okay, so we go to court.
Yes.
Okay, so star-studded already in our courtroom. We have our judge. Let's talk about the Honorable Judge Whitaker.
Oh man, and Dragon, of course. I fucking love to see this guy pop up in like maybe the most pivotal role in the finale. It's awesome. We got the great Dean fucking Norris, totally playing outside of his Hank Schrader stereotype into like just country fried dick of a Southern judge, and I love it.
Yeah, my favorite bit with the judge is just this one where Larry's on the stand, and like after like I think it's overruled, he says like, "Really?" And he says, "Yeah, really."
I love that too. That was great. Yeah, really. Yeah.
I love how kind of casual he is with Larry, like when he's on the stand. And also, now you're not going to appreciate this at all. I just want to shout it out because no one else is going to know what I'm even talking about here, but I loved it.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so the opposing counsel, the prosecutor, Earl Mack, is played by the wonderful Greg Kinnear.
Now, I like Greg Kinnear. I do. He was he was the dad in Little Miss Sunshine. That's my main pull for him.
I love me some Greg Kinnear. Okay, I have a great fondness for Greg Kinnear. I know how random that sounds, but I do.
No. I mean, he's great. I don't think he pops up in enough to really get hyped for him, but when he does pop up, he's great.
Now, here's where I geeked out about him in this. Okay, because I'm not saying they're intentionally referencing this, but it's just a wonderful little coinky dink. Okay. It's just the fact that he did this show. There was like a remake of like I don't know if it was like a UK. I think it was a UK show. He did like the American version of it. It lasted one season, unsuccessful, but it was nice. I liked it. It's called Rake. Basically about it was kind of a precursor to a Better Call Saul. It was about a very troubled lawyer who was like a degenerate gambler and everything. And Greg Kinnear played the lawyer. He played the Rake character. So yeah, he was. So I was like, "Oh my god, it's Greg Kinnear, who I really like, and he's playing a lawyer like that show I loved him in." So I was like, "Oh my god, it's great." Obviously, he's much different lawyer. He's much more respectable here, and all Southern comforty. But yeah. So they're doing the.
Sorry,
go on. No.
Got Little Blue in the comments. He's asking, "How did the solar eclipse experience go for each of you?" I love how he capitalizes all three of those words like it's a fucking theme park attraction or something.
Well, Tiki, to some, it was.
Okay. Did you like it?
No.
Here's the thing. I'm currently not feeling great. I've got a pretty bad cough. So I was in bed in the morning. It came around California about 11:15. And at like 11:45, I woke up out of my bed and I was like, oh shit, I should probably go see the eclipse. And it was already over. That was my experience with the eclipse.
I'm just going to say it. Okay, I'm just going to say it. All right, I think Avatar overblown has overblown the charm of the eclipse. Okay, it just never lives up to that. What we did in the Avatar Last Airbender series. Well, that's an eclipse. Okay, this this was a lie. Okay, this was like not. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it was like lame the way it happened. It was like things got vaguely. Here's the thing: the eclipse was blocked by clouds where I was. Okay, it was like nothing. It was like it literally was overcast. It was like there wasn't.
Yeah,
like
yeah, same.
I was going out. Unfortunately, I didn't have the
There's
eclipse.
just like nothing. There's no considerable difference at all.
Like I didn't, because I was expecting like things to turn purple. That's what I was expecting. It didn't even happen.
right.
You know, like I was gonna go out there. I was hoping. Look, I didn't have the eclipse glasses because they should be giving those things away anywhere you go. But I don't know. The point being, I just walked out there. I was like pretty much shielding my. I was getting.
Yeah, no,
ready.
I was with you. I wasn't like I've heard like pretty strong doctor recommendations to not look into the sun even with the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't planning on doing that. What I was looking forward to was just the whole thing of like, you know, day becomes night, the shadow will get cast over the earth, and that shit just did not happen.
I'll tell you what happened. I was like very mindful. Like, don't look at the sun. Don't look at the sun.
Right.
I was like holding my phone over my head and just like taking pictures and just like by shielding my eyes to see what it looked like. And then I looked at it. I was like, wait, did I look around? I'm peeking through the fingers, and it's like, oh man, this is really lame. It's a little cloudy. That's it.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah,
I'm glad you saw at least something, little blue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, moving on. That is a topical thing that we probably should address.
Okay. So this is really fun. It's the idea that I wanted your take on this. So Larry David is kind of like he's handicapping the prospective jurors. Like they're doing like the jury selection.
I mean, this is classic Larry, right? It's classic Larry just nitpicking tiny little things about their appearance.
But I love the thing where it does raise a question though. Like Larry David being kind of an observational kind of guy here, you do have to wonder though. How right do you think he was on each of these jurors? Because ultimately, we know what happened to him ultimately. Like, do you think that at all influenced the verdict? I mean, he did call there was going to be one bad sequester amongst the bunch. He was absolutely right about that.
Yeah, he was. So, and Dragon, with the sequester stuff, tell me your mind didn't go right to jury duty, right?
Yeah, it did. You know, one of the best parts of that jury duty movie is
what?
It's just the moment where they orchestrate the lunch.
How
great was that? We have like they're playing the "It's Your Thing" song while they're all like having like the nice little lunch that the judge is like buying for them. It was everything. Oh, I love that. Anyway, but yeah, so I was definitely thinking jury duty. You're right about that. Every time I think about jury selection, I'm thinking about that movie. And jury. I'm sorry. I was going to say it one more time. Jury Duty is a great movie. Kids, watch it.
It's a show, but yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, here's the thing. I'm sorry. There's, actually, I'm sorry. When you said that, I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of Runaway Jury.
Oh well, I was thinking of what I.
No, I know. I saw it. I'm just saying for a moment I had a slip where I was thinking about Runaway Jury, but also yes, I do love the show Jury Duty. That is great. I would love it to come back for another season.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks.
It's all good.
But still, watch them both. If you like, watch Jury Duty, and then if you have time, watch Runaway Jury.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, do you think at all he called out the right people, or do you think it was like that sealed his fate?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like, honestly, Dragon, I think what sealed his fate was just the fact that Kinnear was such a good prosecuting attorney. I mean, this guy is like the nightmare person that you want to have arguing against you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was so on point, Dragon. He knew stuff about Larry David's life that a lawyer could not possibly know without watching some kind of weird mockumentary.
You're right about that. We'll get
goes back decades.
We'll get there. Okay, I have it all earmarked. We'll get there. Well, like Greg Kinnear, the ultimate curb binger.
But like, what is Curb the show in the universe of Curb the show?
Yep, the only thing that would have been better is if Porno Gil showed up.
You know what? When they started bringing people, Dragon, oh man, I was praying.
But Porno Gil was on his side, though. Gil was on his side. That's why he wasn't called.
You don't know, though. You don't know.
No, we do know. He was on good terms with Gil.
Yeah, I know, but like a lot of times passed since then.
Oh, true. Okay.
What if Porno Gil was the prosecuting attorney?
Now that would have been something.
Right. Anyways.
And he would have wore a very loud suit.
Oh my god!
But it would have been
It's just like HBO basically doing Saul Goodman as close as they possibly can without actually having it be Saul Goodman.
Here's the
You got Dean Norris in there too, so it would be extra fitting.
Here's the twist. Okay.
Well, Dreg, when I saw Dean Norris, I'm not gonna lie, I did think like, wait a minute, are we keying something up here? All right, go ahead. What's the twist?
Okay, it's essentially the porn parody of Saul Goodman.
That's great.
That's how you do it. So he's in like a cheat. It's like not just like the loud suit. It's kind of like a sleazy kind of 70s looking suit, and maybe also to complete the trifecta, as one of the witnesses they call Larry David's therapist, who was played by Bryan Cranston.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh man,
the things that could have been. Anywho, okay, so we've selected the jury. Let's see, Larry David and Richard Lewis, they had a little tussle. I'd have a little conversation there. He says, I want children, Larry. You want children? You want to adopt? We'll adopt. What are you going to do? Adopt a 40-year-old?
Yes. I want a doctor, Larry.
Again, this far as this is we have like two really nice Richard Lewis scenes for these two guys.
I think it's so sweet that Richard Lewis did make it into the finale. Not in like a huge role, but just enough of a role to be like he's there. I love that he's part of the final shot. Yeah.
I mean, think about this, Tiki. When you think about the people that did go all the way to Atlanta for Larry David, think about this. Okay, Richard Lewis, one of his oldest friends. Again, he knew him forever, hated him in camp, and they reunited the comedy clubs, and everything became best friends ever since. Friends who fight a lot, but friends. So there in the first episode, we got to bring Richard Lewis back. He would be there to support him during this. A very special guest star we'll get to.
Right.
But think about Ted Danson. He's there purely, again, former friend of Larry David's, but they're purely.
No, I mean, here's the thing with Ted Danson this episode. I do not buy for one fucking second that he is doing anything other than stroking his own ego. I mean,
exactly. No, that's the thing. That's why he's
what he's doing.
But here's the thing. Think about this. Cheryl, there's no reason for Cheryl to be there except for Ted Danson, and maybe Susie just wanted her friend there. But that thing goes, she has no reason to be there.
Right.
Because that's the thing. When you ever think about it, why is she really? That's the thing. Because she showed up less and less after the divorce. She was still around, but it was like the thing of we don't really have a reason.
She wasn't like a major. She wasn't like a main character, though. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like the main reason Cheryl appeared at period was because she knew other people. She knew she was in a relationship with Ted, and she's friends with Susie. That's about it.
Right.
So she has no reason to really schlep all the way here for Larry, who she really doesn't have fond feelings for.
I mean, I don't really mind it. I mean, it is the whole idea.
No, it's fine.
They've always been at least cordial with each other, so I don't think it's that unbelievable that she would go to support him.
No, you're right. No, it's not unbelievable. It's just because they're on, in quotes, they're on good terms. They're always fighting every time she shows up. So
no, right. But I mean, so is Susie and Larry. Yeah. I mean, even more so, and Susie's still pretty outwardly backing him.
Yeah, you're right.
Susie's backing him in a more genuine way than Danson is, at the very least.
So speaking of which, again, Ted Danson purely stealing the spotlight as he's in quotes protesting, making Larry David's cause that he knows Larry David's not really believing in this cause, so he's using it as an opportunity. Like, I'm going to actually make this a celebrity cause because he's insanely jealous that Larry David is getting all the notoriety.
Right.
Also, this is a fun little meta thing here. Even in the finale of Seinfeld, Ted Danson is mentioned. And it's jealousy, too, of George Costanza saying, I want the Ted Danson plane after their plane goes down initially. It's like, I want the good Ted Danson plane that NBC has. So yet again, the jealousy of Ted Danson in a Larry David written finale.
Just rooting its way into the whole fabric of this universe.
Here's something we dropped between episodes. Larry David's not wearing the suit like he was supposed to in court.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
I love the coaster point. I love he says, no respect the law, but no respect.
That bothered the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie. And honestly, honestly, I kind of wish they could have harped on that a little bit more because you're right. It is super unprofessional.
All right, let's see. Okay, so I want to know, how did you feel about the fly gag?
I don't know. I thought it was a little much. Honestly,
Right?
it was a little broad.
It feels like I think they were trying to go for like he wouldn't harm a fly, but they didn't spell it out, and because of that, it just feels kind of random. And there's no real payoff.
And then he literally, I think the payoff is that he literally does kill a fly in a pretty brutal fashion.
But it's not even hurt. I say he never hurt a fly.
I don't feel like it was built up that much. I feel like they could have like elaborated on that a little more. I don't know. And honestly, what kind of bothers me about that a little bit, and I feel like we're kind of nitpicking here, so just to put an asterisk with that. I kind of feel like, like once the defense attorney wraps up with her speech, it does seem like all is good in spite of the fly antics.
Yeah, so it's kind of a pointless joke.
Right, yeah. So that's the one thing that kind of irritated me with that.
I'm with you. Also, I love Leon. It's like, Larry, you're effed.
Right.
Okay, so again, so structurally, we're pulling the Seinfeld finale here, where basically it's familiar faces and clips of Larry David's infamy, and it's like with the trial itself, it was always this was like the big logic thing of the Seinfeld finale, and the thing that we're kind of having here is the fact that there's a heavy focus on all these character references. The fact that we're defending Larry David's character, which is like, why would they schlep out all these people from all across, like all the way back in LA to Atlanta, just for this like this thing?
Like Takahashi, for example.
Yeah, like if you think about it, and I'm sure our legal consultant would probably confirm a lot of this.
Oh, you know what, Dragon? Shit, we should have asked Rohit if he wanted to come on just for this episode. I wonder.
Well, then, but he's not really. They didn't have anyone else for any of these, though. That's the thing. That's why we.
No, I know, but that would have been fun to get Rohit's take on it. Anyways,
that's the thing. So it's the whole thing of even like I've seen like the legal.
My whole thing with this and the prosecuting attorney's whole tactic here is that it's like. It's pretty clear that like fucking Judge Schrader over there just has a big, just hates Larry David, and he's just gonna want to have anything that's gonna implement him be addressed. Even if like basically, Dragon. What I'm getting at is that the whole relevancy argument in this court trial is just dead. It's non-existent.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Actually, are you familiar with the guy who does the videos on YouTube called The Legal Eagle? Have you ever seen any of these?
Yes, I am. I'm not crazy about him, but he's fine. He's fine.
Well, the point being, the main reason I'm bringing it up is there was an episode where he talked about the Seinfeld finale, given the courtroom drama of it all. And, he did call out. I would
be surprised if he covers this finale at some point.
Oh yeah, it would make sense. So based on the Seinfeld thing, he basically called out the whole character reference thing based on the law, which essentially is tantamount to exactly what we're doing here. It's a big leap. It's a big stretch. If you put it under like a microscope, a lot of it's not going to track. Especially, why would they go to this much expense to bring all these people out in real life versus like in Seinfeld? But anyway, you have to. It's also interesting, though. You have to throw the rules out the window because the opening statement that the opening argument that the defense attorney gives for Larry David is like he broke the law, which is like that's kind of. I know it's like it's kind of a thing where they're trying to say he's not guilty, even though she did highlight all the examples of like other laws were broken, all these like all these bad barrier breaking kind of like events in history. So it's like admitting your client's guilt. I don't know. In the opening statement, it's a little iffy.
And it's a risky tactic, to say the least.
It's a risk. So based on that risk, it's like okay, so we have character. That's a different trial than like we usually would see. It's not like Larry didn't murder anyone clearly, and it's not like a
Dragon. If you watch the movie Anatomy of a Fall, then you'll get to see the the German court system at play, and it's way different.
Oh yeah, no, for sure it is. Yeah. Okay, anyway, so the point being, we're playing by Seinfeld rules here in terms of like the whole we're bringing all these character references as an excuse to kind of wrap up the show and kind of celebrate some of the highlights and what Larry David has done. So that brings us just going down the checklist here. Mocha Joe, big one.
Oh yeah. Now, Dragon, when Mocha Joe came out, I was literally like, oh my god, they're doing it! They're doing it!
Yep, I know. I love too just Mocha Joe. Like, he and Larry David get into this childish argument like, I didn't burn your beans.
You burn my beans.
Which again, here's the thing, and you're right though. Here's the I don't think the judge necessarily hates Larry, but you're right. He's skewing all of these.
Well, I think the judge hates Larry. That's the vibe I get.
I didn't look. Here's the based on the whole really moment that made me think maybe he doesn't hate him. He's just definitely not cutting any breaks though.
No, the really thing is kind of like why I think he hates him. Honestly, it's like he's just going like he is just not listening to reason here. He's just like, yeah, fuck it. I'm the judge. I can do whatever I want, and you're not worth my time.
All these like all the call outs here, it's like the whole like his defense attorney saying like basically relevancy. She's like goes to motive, which it doesn't go to motive at all. This is go to motive for like which is if you really think about it. So yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of skewing going on there, but So it's Mokujo. Then we have Takahashi. Now Takahashi, did you see the Swan episode?
I have not. No,
that's what I'm saying. So we just see the clip of like the Black Swan, going to kill Larry David. Maybe he killed it as self-defense. These big. That's what I'm saying. Basically, I have a.
I will say though, Dragon. I'm actually pretty sure we've had this conversation before somewhere. Swans are fucking terrifying creatures.
Yeah,
they're fucking feral. They're big. They're loud. They're fast. They're mean. I do not like swans.
Seriously, you'd love that episode because it's like it's almost like a psychodrama where they basically they kill Larry David in self-defense, kills the swan, but then he Funkhauser, basically him and his golf buddies, so they don't get kicked out of the club, they have to hide the body and everything. They have to.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely need to. I'm kind of planning on just watching it like from season 2 on now that because I think I have like maybe about half the seasons, maybe a little less that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so we see like I just love that I have like a mental checklist with all these guys and like saying how defensible Larry David's actions were here. We're okay, self-defense, so this guy, All right, then we have Alex Vinderman. So that one's the actual one that actually really is bad for Larry in this case. That's very detrimental. So Alex Vinderman was the whole Irma Kostrowski thing.
Right.
Yeah. So then we have like the political comparison, like Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Larry David.
Oh my God.
With the whole corruption charges there. Okay, so let's talk.
I actually kind of low key thought they were gonna like not pull in Elmo specifically, but maybe pull that clip or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't like it's.
No, it wasn't part of the Curb lore. So yeah, I hear you.
I wish it was, honestly. I would imagine.
It feels like it should be part of the Curb lore.
Here's the, if it were part of the Curb lore, it would have been shot a lot better. It would have been.
That's true.
Yeah. He actually would have like strangled with both hands, like grabbing the face, and it would have had the actual Elmo performer. Oh god. Anyway, so real quick, I want to talk about my least favorite, the most cuttable plot, the whole cuttable gag, and the whole thing for me. Okay. Susie is the wheelchair-bound girlfriend.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Here's the thing, Dragon. I feel like on the surface, it's not like the most pivotal part of the scene. Obviously, Auntie Ray and her big blow up is the most pivotal part of the scene. But I definitely think that Susie, like starting out doing the whole charity act thing, and then like by the end of it, she's just literally got into her feet, fucking Dr. Strangelove style, and walked right out of there. And then Larry's like, she can walk, she walks. I don't know. I thought first of all, I want to say I think this is probably the funniest scene in the episode for me personally.
Really?
Yeah. I just think it's a great example of like Curb escalation, where it's just like every little interaction, every little thing that anyone says in this scene just makes the whole thing go south. So right up from when Auntie Ray walks in and Jeff drops the catawampus thing, and you're just thinking like, oh no, this is gonna go so south so quick, and it does.
So that's the thing. I'm split on it because you're right. The escalation, the payoff of Auntie Ray putting.
I love that Auntie Ray ends her time in the show just in the most fucking like irate, like fuck all y'all. Like
and she's such like a nice, and she's such like a nice lady too. Just say like, Judge, F you, F y'all. Then she leaves, but like that works flawlessly, Tiki. It's just the fact that, think about it. We doubled down in like the last episode here on Broad Curb. We're okay. Larry's in the courtroom, and we have Susie Essman they have Susie Green in like the wheelchair, look with this extremely fake looking wig, and just Larry David like spelling it out directly to the jury in the most unsubtle way
I
possible.
will say Larry spelling it out. I think that goes on a little too long, but I will say it adds to like this guy is fucking desperate and pathetic. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. Even like
Nobody's buying this shit, and he keeps going with it. He's basically burying his like digging his own grave at this point.
Well, I'm not saying it's not funny. Okay, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying it's not funny, but I am saying it's like it does kind of break like any like. I want to say believability because I mean there is a lot of believability in that these things did happen. We saw.
Wrong. I mean, I feel like if this actually were to happen in a real courtroom, that I would be surprised if somebody didn't notice that it was the same person, just in a cheap-looking wig. You know what I mean?
Where I thought it was going is that he would try and call her to the stand or something, and then she would have to under oath say give up the. That's initially where I thought it was going. Is the fact that it's like him at the end's like she can walk, and no, clearly no one is believing this. In this case, which so again, it's a good. I love how everything gets us to that low point. Which is great. Before we get to low point, low point just in terms of like Larry David. The trial is at its worst for him. Like nothing has gone right. But for the other things, I want to list off our cameos quickly here. So
sure.
We have the ski lift episode, Rachel Heineman, and she even brought like a diagram.
That seems like a really fucking funny setup.
Oh yeah. So again, that episode too. That was
nuts.
Yep, pretty effing nuts. By the way, this is the idea. So she again jumped willingly, not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Jillian Bell defaced an image of Christ.
Oh my god!
To be fair, that's an old guy thing. You can't really control that. We saw that. The Japanese sushi chef, the Iroshimasu.
I know I saw that episode, but remind me what the context was from.
Well, the context was he was on a date, and every time they go in there, they greet everyone. And he ruined like his shirt with soy sauce, and then out of spite, he would basically people walk in, he would then shout,
Right, okay.
And then they got into like this screaming match. So again, just the scream match. They started, so it's not really his fault either. Irma Kostrowski, okay, this one very detrimental. Stole shoes from a Holocaust museum. That's bad.
I love how the shot of Larry just walking, just so jovial. He's almost like tap dancing out of there.
Yeah, which I love that. Obviously, there's no visual aids for this moment.
So I'm glad that we got a little bit more Irma. But I will say, Dragon, I think one of my all-time worst fucking predictions for any of these shows.
Maria Sophia.
Maria Sophia was going to be like a major antagonist. Like, no, she doesn't even fucking pop up in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I at least could have seen her popping up like, Larry David is a boring old man and he deserves to go away because he's so boring. I don't know. Something like that.
Well, let's see. So, Poor Boss.
Poor Boss, yes.
Bruce Springsteen via satellite.
It didn't have as much of an impact on the episode as I thought it would, but, good to see a callback at least, because honestly, Dragon, realistically, I think that would be the death knell for Larry, honestly. I think that is like the single worst thing for his case.
I don't know. I still say Auntie Ray was like the worst thing that could possibly.
Well, Auntie Ray was terrible, but I'm just saying going into the trial with the stuff that we knew going into it, we didn't know that the Auntie Ray stuff was going to happen.
Okay, now most impressively, now I don't know. I have to assume this is the same actress. I'd be really impressed if it were. Now there's a chance it might not be. I wish I looked into it, but Tara Michelson. We have Tara Michelson.
This is from the very first episode, right?
No.
Oh, it's not from the Pants Tent? Okay.
No. We reference the Pants Tent later.
Yeah, we do. It's definitely season 1, though, because I've definitely seen this.
No, it's not. It's not from season 1. You haven't seen this yet.
I know I've fucking seen this somewhere.
No, you haven't seen this yet.
Okay, that's weird. I could have sworn that I saw a setup like this. But
I know this for a very specific reason. This is from The Doll, one of the all-time great Curb episodes, which is in season 2.
Okay.
Basically, so this the whole thing of like he puts a water bottle in his pants, and then again the little girl comes out, hugs it. There's no mommy, there's something hard in that man's pants.
Oh God.
Which cements his fate with Auntie Ray when she basically calls out the whole one Mississippi, two Mississippi thing. So it's amazing they got her back, and we set up. She's been in therapy ever since that moment for 21 years.
I know,
like,
right?
Oh my. Apparently, no one ever listened to the explanation he gave for that, I'm sure. So, Auntie Ray's up. She tanks Larry David's case out of spite with the whole catawampus thing. Where she says, didn't he take you and your family? His wife did. then we bring up the N-word being said, and then the erection.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, F you, Fist stole my recipe. Then Susie is upset learning how they got the recipe, and she chews out Jeff. And one last, again, here's your Curb bingo card, kids. She curses out Jeff Garland one more time.
right.
Just, oh god, and then exposes the whole con. Larry David's at a low point, and Tiki, I no joke, man. This, I think, is my favorite moment, one of my favorite moments in the whole thing, the whole season, possibly. This is like the one moment in Curb that actually has pathos in it, and I think it's beautiful. Larry David's at his low point, and he's we see like Ted Danson's getting arrested. He's stealing all of his plays. He's getting all of his.
He's literally like modeling the handcuffs, motherfucker.
Exactly. So I love that. Literally, Ted Danson's like being like the thumb in the eye there, just like rubbing salt in the wound. And Jerry Seinfeld emerges. The only person on this planet that could cheer Larry David up in this moment. And like a guy that he respects and takes him back to the beginning of how they started out, and of course the base success of his career and everything. Just genuine pathos of Jerry Seinfeld showing up again. This being improvised. This is their rhythm, Tiki. This is what it was like writing.
Right.
This is what it was like.
Yeah, and he just shows up. He's instantly just throws the logic at Larry. Like what the fuck is this? What is going on? It's a bottle of water. How is this illegal?
That's the thing. Seinfeld is predicated on the relationship between these two men being very like-minded and observationally minded in their comedy.
In the context of the show, Larry David mostly being represented by Costanza, right?
Yeah, exactly. George Costanza is Larry David, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's just so appropriate that he is here for Larry David's send-off. It links, it's a link. These two guys are linked to the end of time. Their names are, his name is, it made his name into
if they ever do make that Leon Black show, you know that these two are going to pop up in the series finale.
You'd have to think. So it's just been this beautiful little hilarious random conversation about the bearded lady hypothetical. It's gold.
And that was great. That was like just genuine like classic. It feels like it would be on an episode of classic Seinfeld.
And the two big scenes that Larry and Jerry have in this episode, I think are very. It's sweet without being saccharine. This is like Pixar levels of sweetness.
It is. Yeah.
It's like the seed thing.
I mean, this basically elevates these two into the status of a Pixar buddy couple.
Yeah, it's like the seed moment from A Bug's Life, where you take this thing where it could be like follow your dreams, Dot. Where it's like, no, this is a seed. Well, no, it's a rock. No, just pretend it's a seed. The whole thing of like a genuinely sweet moment without being all. Because again, Seinfeld's whole thing is like no hugs, no learning. Which is where we get the episode title, by the way. This was the credo of Seinfeld: no lessons learned.
Right.
It was like the whole, like the two parts, like they don't hug and they don't learn any lessons. So again, it's utterly flawless what they did there, and genuinely sweet without being like on the nose or anything. Okay, so Larry David's on the stand. He milks it. He's then confronted.
No shade.
Oh
God.
Just imagine we pan over to Vera Farmiga in the galleries, giving him a thumbs up, like, Larry, you're doing great.
Oh my God. By the way, Dragon, have you seen the trailer for Maxine?
No.
That is the third movie in the X and Pearl saga.
Oh, right.
And a lot of it is shot on the Universal backlot, right? Like the actual Universal backlot.
Yeah.
And there's a couple moments from that trailer where they're actually using the Bates Motel set, like in the context of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see how that goes.
That's really
And when I was at Universal Studios about a year ago, it was actually shooting on the back lot. So it's very interesting to see. Like, I'm very excited for a movie that's going to potentially take place with the Universal backlot as like one of its main locations. Anyways,
Well, it's not like we haven't seen that before with Big Fat Liar.
yeah, but Big Fat Liar wasn't actively. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that wasn't telling you it was the movie set, right?
No, the third act is they're running through the Universal backlot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The third act. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, but I'm saying this movie, like the whole movie, might take place almost exclusively on the Universal backlot, which is really exciting.
Nice.
It-
That is cool.
It's about the closest that we're ever going to come to like a horror movie taking place at fucking Disneyland.
Yeah, probably. What about that Escape from Tomorrow movie?
I mean, I will defend that movie more than most people will, but it's still not a legitimate film by any means.
Okay. Anyway, so Larry's then basically he's cross-examined by the Greg Kinnear character, and then I love that Larry David thinks he's not even going to have to lie here. He says, "Have you ever stolen flowers from a woman's thing? It's gonna be like
And of course, Dragon, that's one of the big episodes that I have seen,
Mhm.
and it was lovely to see that come up again.
And again, I don't want to get saccharine on you here, but again, this was always my grandfather loved the Ida Funkhauser Memorial episode. He laughs hysterically at that ending. So it's like I was delighted to see it pop up here in
Do you
this
think it'd be a
episode.
good idea to introduce my dad to this show through that episode?
Through the Ida Funkhauser Memorial?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think if you don't mind, it doesn't mind being thrown into it a little bit. The whole
It's just
black
all a
family
jumping
living.
off point, right? Like, you know enough about the characters. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
feel like it's a good kind of like, okay, if you like this, then you'll like the rest of it.
I can give you like a short list of like the episodes of Curb to show somebody if you don't mind. Like the only thing you have to explain is the whole why is a black family living with him from Katrina. That's all you need to explain.
I was thinking maybe just starting with because the Ida Funkhauser episode isn't too deep into that season, so I was thinking about maybe just starting with season 6.
There you go. You'd be fine there.
All right.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, so the whole thing of a roadside memorial, and he stops. He's like, "Oh wait." So then we have the clip. Now, this is great. So in Seinfeld, we just had clips. We have clips with like Larry David like commenting over the clips, which was a good idea. Just so it's like, well, Ida Funkhauser Memorial. Like, yeah, this is he did that. And then the 5 wood. To be fair, that was him reclaiming property though. Breaking and entering into a councilwoman's house. Yeah, that's bad. No way around that.
But again, with this, it's like a lot of it is kind of getting into that territory of like, where's the relevance to the actual case here? Like, I know it's all bad stuff, but where's the relevance?
The breaking and entering one, that is like, you're right in terms of relevance to this, but still that one actually is like for the whole election purpose of the thing, where this guy may have actually, if they want to throw shade that maybe he was like interrupting the flow of justice there, like sort of
Right,
the
yeah.
electoral vote or the electoral process. Like, anyway, then we have oh god, this is another great one, the beloved aunt, the whole beloved aunt thing, which by the way has no relevance at all. And again, that was Jeff's fault. First of all, Jeff was the one who
that was
submitted
absolutely Jeff's fault.
So that was unfair of him. But again, at this point, it's kind of a sham trial at a certain point where it's like, okay, look, Larry's just he's screwed. I love that throughout the episode, we, the audience, you and me, you knew what that verdict was going to be, right?
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, I guess things do not go well for Larry in court. And then we have like this gag with like Leon and Jerry Seinfeld in like the galleries.
This really made me laugh. Just Leon just pestering Seinfeld about the sex tapes. Or I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry, Dragon. I'm terribly sorry. The fuck tapes. Where are your fuck tapes at?
Yep. I love Jerry Seinfeld being such
Just
a great
going with it.
Just like it's just, oh yeah, they exist, but they're on Laserdisc. Like, oh,
13 amazing hours.
I might take it to Netflix though. I just love it with the
Wouldn't be as
Laserdisc.
trashy as some of the stuff Netflix puts up there.
That's true, but that Laserdisc line is just so darn funny to me. Like, love that Leon is like
That it genuinely works. Leon is like, oh shit, all right.
All right, let's see. So then we have the condemning closer for Larry David here. Now this is where I agree with you to a point here, Tiki. Where this is where honestly, when he lists off this is the stuff he would have no way of knowing. By the way, all this.
That's what I'm saying. I almost kind of feel like this specific section is almost like a reference to the Seinfeld stuff and how cheap the Seinfeld stuff was in comparison.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, this is the fact. Honestly, I think it would have played better if it was just like ridiculous things you could hear that you would never believe. So if you went back and watched the show, then you'd see, oh my god, that's what he was talking about. Versus like actually seeing. I think like less would have been more here on the close.
And it's like seriously, like this guy, he must have the best private investigators in the business if he's digging up all this information.
Now, to be fair, he did mention like some things. Like you said, okay, a police a report from a police officer, they wouldn't give candy to the kids on Halloween. Like, yeah, okay, that would be on record, but still, that's a really deep pull for that guy. Just say he didn't give girls candy on Halloween, who then vandalized his house.
Speaking of candy, I love the whole the bit that Leon does when Auntie Ray walks in. Like, she carries bras in her. She carries candy in her bra. We're gonna hit some of that bra candy if we're lucky.
Yep, well, I won't say the first part, but the taffy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Of course, moving his mother's body, which again was twisted, but it was justified though. They put her in a proper grave.
Uh-huh.
Inviting a sex offender to Paso. Okay, that's pretty bad. And okay, the worst one, hilariously worst one though. Ate Oscar the dog's last meal. Which no joke is one of the funniest things ever. Just he and Jeff eating Oscar's last meal.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the one I call BS. This is the one I'm fully with you on. Okay, this one's ridiculous in every sense of it. Okay, the blow up doll.
Oh yeah, because that was clearly just like a misunderstanding, and it pretty much shows that it's a misunderstanding in the clip.
Well, here's the thing. If you think
not to mention, even if it isn't a misunderstanding, respect kinks, people.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so think about this. Just for a number of reasons, the blow-up doll should have been left out of the closing. Is one, not even the funniest like curb moment. First of all, secondly, just I mean, one, how could it? I'm sorry, it's just the fact that there's like no basis of relevancy at all, which we've already called out. It implies that Cheryl sold him out. Like Cheryl went out of her way to badmouth Larry David on that one. She was the only witness to that.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's like no way that should have been in there. The swastika chamois thing that the flamboyant kid made. My favorite, again, a Hall of Famer they put in there, one of the greatest episodes of Curb. Carpool Lane. I would have been upset if they didn't have the car. I'm not going to lie to you because that one also had a bit of a courtroom thing in it. They needed the carpool lane in there.
Yeah.
Incest survivor named Todd. An incest survivor named Todd. Okay, anyway. So, he's doomed. Gets the guilty verdict.
Yeah, prison for a full year, which I actually really like that as a sentence for him because it's not like over the top he's going away for the rest of his life, but like knowing what we know about Larry, it's bad. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be like dramatically bad.
he can do like a being locked up for like in the drunk tank for like a day. He can do that, you know, but he can't actually do time like that.
Right.
That's the thing. They leave him alive. But also, again, it would have been a Seinfeld fate where they were all sentenced to a year in prison. So it timed out really, really perfectly on that. I love that. Like, I love the idea that Leon will watch. He'll live in the house and watch over the house.
So honestly, when all that's going down, and it's like Ted's just like, I got to go do some interviews. Susie's like, where do we want to go eat? And then Leon's like, yeah, I'll keep your house really comfy for you, Larry. I almost kind of thought we were just going to end on like the darkest note possible, where Larry gets sent away, no one gives a shit, and they're all probably even happier off without him.
Here's a question: the bit with Richard Lewis, where the ex-girlfriend's getting the gun.
Okay.
Larry, for a moment, did you think innocent and then shot?
Dragon, I thought for a second that's where they were going with that, and I am almost convinced that they put the line about the gun in there. I think it's a reference to The Sopranos.
Well, how's it a reference to Sopranos?
Because the Sopranos series finale, everyone was expecting Tony to get whacked at the end. And then it ends with him looking over his shoulder and then cutting to black.
Right.
Like, I think they put that gun thing in there to have us as the audience kind of have our guards up. Like, wait a minute, is that actually going to happen? That would be fucking crazy. And then also, like, I don't know, on some level, there is a fucking wacky suicidal bitch out there who has Larry's number, you know?
Yeah.
He might be free, but you don't know what's lurking behind the corner with him, you know?
That's
He still has his enemies.
By the way, just to kind of put in perspective here, Curb Enthusiasm, the reason it did so well over the years, at least it got like a huge boost in viewership, was it followed The Sopranos.
Uh-huh.
I think people watch Sopranos and then The Curb comes on. That really helped them out. So, you know, very synonymously linked, the two biggest hits of HBO. All right. Okay,
really
so yes.
Counter programming to The Sopranos, because The Sopranos, it's definitely a more intense show, but it's not like super dark either. So
True. All right, so so he's basically do the Seinfeld ending, and literally like the Seinfeld ending, they're in the cell, and they reference the very first conversation between Jerry and George. So the very first episode of Curb with the whole pants tent thing is referenced here in reference to that Seinfeld episode. So you think, and again, I love that we think it's going to end there, and then we have Tiki. I almost cried during this scene. I found it so beautiful to some degree. You know, like I love what they did here. So it was so
well, it really does a good job of putting you in Larry's shoes and the palatable sense of relief, and also just the camaraderie that these two have had over the decades.
So just Jerry Seinfeld saved him in the most beautiful way possible. Literally, in a sense, Larry David's creation saved him.
Right.
And God knows what would have happened to him in prison.
Okay, I do have one question. When we were doing the thing where we were calling back to the pants tent, and then the camera starts like panning back, did you think that I thought for sure that was going to be the last shot?
Well, again, that was the last.
Sure. I thought for sure that was going to be it. That was going to be the final note. It's like, okay, they're bringing it back around to the first gag in the first episode. That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. And again, that's how Seinfeld ended. So that's the thing. Yeah. I for a moment, it's like, oh God, I just love how they get the rug out from under, and Jerry Seinfeld shows up. It's perfect. It's like, yes, how do we pull the rug out from under the audience right there? Jerry Seinfeld shows up to save the day. By the way, I love this. This is a brilliant call at the start of this season. Okay, Jerry Seinfeld's in the Mexican restaurant, and he runs into Michael Fouché, the South.
Yeah, that's a great callback. Yeah, and then Seinfeld just very, very blatantly just like, I can't do it. Can't be cordial.
I just love that. One is the fact that this whole thing is this guy's fault for inviting.
It is very much so. Yes,
and the fact that we show Jerry smarter than Larry here, where he just says, "No, can't be cordial." Just brushes off. If only Larry David did that, you know. So then we have the Pesci guy, and basically we learn from Jerry that he ran into this guy, made a Pesci joke, and then he realized, oh my God, he was on the jury, but the jury was sequestered. He shouldn't have been eating at a Mexican restaurant. So that was the case got thrown out. Mistrial.
Wouldn't it be funny if just one of the jurors was just randomly fucking like James Marsden?
Well, that would have been great.
Just randomly, like they don't acknowledge him at all. He's just there.
Oh, I actually have something. Okay, on the plane in the last scene, Tiki. I looked through the credits. It might be, I don't know if it's uncredited or not, or maybe I missed it, but I tell you, man, it's so crazy to me. The guy sitting behind Leon, he looks like Ben Stiller.
I mean, it could very well be Ben Stiller.
I'm just saying it's
connections.
I know, that's what I'm saying, because he was in one of the seasons of Curb. That made me wonder, oh my God, did they?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to look this up now, because you sent me a thumbnail with it. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It might be. I don't know if it's like that's kind of like a front shot. I don't know if they're going to show him from the back.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
So unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to make it in the shot or not. They have like this kind of gray salt and pepper haired man, which basically
you say the guy behind Leon.
Yeah, the gray haired guy behind Leon.
Yeah, I can see him.
You see,
I can't really see the face, but I see how you would think that looks like him.
Well, trust me, if you rewatch the episode and you see that overhead shot where you see the guy's face, like, tell me that doesn't at least look like Ben Stiller. You don't have to now, obviously, but just think, food for thought in terms of like a James Marsden cameo, you know?
And really quick with the Seinfeld stuff before we get into the plane, you know, the moment that really fucking warmed my heart and just I felt the sense of relief that Larry must have been feeling.
What?
How about that, sports fans? It seems like just such a nice thing for two lifelong friends to say to each other in light of getting really good news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just really warmed my heart.
Yeah. So I just love that I think it's brilliant with the title too. Just the fact that it's like Larry David did learn one thing in the entirety of this show, and it was from this moment that we just saw happen before our eyes, where it was like they realize after this moment where he walks out there, he says, "You know what? This is how we should have ended Seinfeld. This is what the finale should have been." So it took him over 12 years to figure out the perfect ending.
I'm glad they didn't end on that either, because I was a little worried they were going to end on that, and I was like, okay, if they end on that, that's going to feel a little too meta. But no, they end on the plane. The plane scene is a perfect ender. Let's go through it.
We go full circle to the plane. Everyone's on the plane, and we kind of do like this really almost Christ-like layout. The whole like everyone's sitting at the table, like the Last Supper kind of Christ.
A little bit, yeah, yeah.
It was like another show we're not allowed to talk about had a similar.
Oh God!
Literally, the show with another comedian who basically had his life story turned into a sitcom.
Yeah,
we're not going to mention. But so we had basically this shot where we see everyone. It's an impressive shot. We pan down. We see everyone in frame, and Susie and Jeff are on one side. Susie opens like the little window, and it's just this giant glare.
Dragon, let's talk through this one more time. Let's have the curb debate. This bothers the fuck out of me. If a lot of people do it, like if over half the plane is doing it, that's fine, because at that point the light's getting let in anyways, whatever. If only one or two people have the fucking window open, then you are being the goddamn center of attention, and you should fucking take a hint.
It's the fact that it's a weird layout on this plane, because I've never considered like the light of that. Like, then it must be a really early flight, more of an afternoon flight guy. So it's the fact that the light would be that blaring, it would go all the way to the other side of the plane.
Oh no, that definitely happens on planes. I have seen that. Yeah, but like I said, especially if it's just one or two windows that are open. The more windows that are open, the less blinding it is, because sunlight's just kind of naturally pouring in at that point.
Now, mind you, it's been forever since I've been on a plane, so I'm just a little fuzzy on that. But it's the fact that there is an overhead light that she could very well use. Just use the overhead light, Susie.
Uh-huh.
And she's not, and they get into a big argument. I love that, like, she's on the complete. I love that they're having this argument while they're on the complete opposite sides. Like, he's by a window, she's by a window, and it's just it's the push and pull, and everyone just caught in between. I love that Leon is literally on Larry's side. He's in agreement with him. Like, I'm watching. They're watching glares. It's like radio over here.
I feel like Cheryl and Ted are on Jeff and Susie's side, so they're more close.
Well, Jeff's on Larry's side, but he's stuck with Susie.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And then you have Richard, and he's kind of in the middle, and he's honestly kind of like ambivalent to the whole thing.
And the fact that like Larry's saying like and this is kind of funny with the whole electoral vote thing, where he's like, no, we should vote.
Oh God! Right.
But the whole reason for the trial, technically, is because all the voting thing. He's like, no, we should all vote. Like, no, there's no vote. Go to effing jail, Larry.
That was a great kind of like last Susie Essman dig.
Yeah, so that's
all right.
That's how it ends.
Yeah, and I am very satisfied. Like I said, I do think that maybe you could have cut out a couple, like one or two of those clip show montages. I really don't even think this episode needed to be as long as it was. I feel like it kind of got its point across. But like just to end where it does, the Seinfeld stuff, I think the Auntie Ray and Susie stuff in the middle of the episode is hilarious. Having Richard Lewis there for, he doesn't do much, but he's there, and it's nice. It's nice. Like I said, I'm just happy that Richard Lewis is in the final shot more than anything else. So yeah, overall, a very satisfying series finale. And Dragon, I got to give credit here. Season 12 in general, I think they did a great job building up to this episode and really kind of putting the noose around Larry's neck, kind of building up the whole, like, in the early episodes, he's he's basically like a martyr to people, and then by the time we actually get to the trial, he's basically pissed away all of his public goodwill. I really like how we do that. Overall, very satisfied.
Oh yeah, again, I was very, I'm still kind of like glowing about the finale for Curb, man. Again, I say that the fact that I I am closing a big book in my life here with Curb to some degree, in which this show is always meaningful for me, and one as a Seinfeld fan, and two just as a something that I was kind of bonded with my grandfather, who basically he lived in that HBO program. And again, I presume what happened was he watched. He loved the two shows he loved was Sopranos and Curb Your Enthusiasm, which, knowing how it aired, that's probably why. He watched Sopranos and he stuck around for Curb, and he loved them both. And just the fact that it's been such a journey with Curb. And every time it came back, it was always kind of like a delight and kind of a bonding experience. And it was just it's like there is a bittersweet nature to the show ending, and that. God, I wish you could have seen this last episode, man. They brought everything back.
No, that is definitely bittersweet. I felt bittersweet for you in that regard.
It referenced almost all of his favorite episodes in this finale,
man.
And I mean, I don't know that he would have appreciated the Jerry Seinfeld thing as much as I did, but I then said,
well, it's like if you subscribe to the whole he's looking down from heaven smiling thing, then I'm sure he is.
He'll catch it in reruns.
Right.
But seriously, I'm very pleased with this. Again, I was surprised how emotional I got. I mean, not just from my nostalgia for it, but more specifically just with the Jerry Seinfeld and how perfectly those scenes were executed. And just in Larry David revisiting the site of what many people, I want to be very clear. My introduction to Seinfeld was the finale, so I never had animosity towards the finale. But everyone else has always been like, "Oh, it's Larry David's folly." It's always like it was always like everyone always came down on him hard for the Seinfeld finale, and it was just again, I like him the idea that 12 years into it, he revisited the site of his greatest failure, and he kind of corrected it in a really beautiful way, and it couldn't have gone any better. It was a great last hurrah for him.
All right, well, big thanks to Little Blue and Kogias for joining us in the comments. I keep teasing that we have something going on with Curb that we may or may not do. It's just going to be a busy couple months for us, so stay tuned for that. But we will revisit Curb at some point. Yeah. I think it's too good of an idea to pass up, but I don't want to announce exactly what it is yet. All right, folks, that's it. Have a good night. See y'all later.
See you.
Da 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 da.